But given the kind of questions that Gary Neville was asking,
Mm-hmm.
they were hard questions.
Yeah, but someone of his stature should be able to answer those questions.
Jim Ratcliffe does not have that excuse.
He admitted
Mhm.
when they knew they f***ed up.
It leaves a sour taste in the mouth where you cut people that have been contributing to the club for the
Many
longest
years.
time ever.
It's justified. To me, I feel it's justified enough now. And I'm buying whatever he's saying.
Welcome back to another segment of the AOS Podcast called Manchester Mondays. And,
So fast Monday already.
tell me about it.
Manchester
name-
United Monday.
My name is Cash, and with me I have Brent and Joel.
Hello.
Today
Hi.
we are going to be talking about the interview that Gary Neville did with our fabulous, fantastic owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Wow, I think that one has a lot of feedback. A lot of people are talking about it. But before that, please smash the like button, share, and subscribe to us. If you've not done so, okay, we really rely on all the people following us so that we can continue to give you good stuff.
Yeah, so going in, let's get right into it. What do you guys think?
I think the interview was good lah.
Okay, let's put it this way. Do you think it was staged?
Yes.
In what sense?
Questions would have been preloaded. It would have been given to him. He would have had that time to actually think about the answers.
I mean,
If-
most interviews are that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done interviews before.
Yeah.
Not job interview. I know you HR one, but you know, the actual interviews. I remember in my line of work, I do interviews with newspapers and all that. They will always give us a list of what the questions
to
are going
prep.
to be.
Yeah.
Because you want the
you don't wanna be put on
interviewee
the
to be
spot. Yeah.
you want it to be prepped, right?
Yeah.
You want to be ready.
Yep.
But given the kind of questions that Gary Neville was asking,
Mhm.
they were hard questions.
Yeah, but someone of his stature should be able to answer those questions.
True.
Yeah. So I think it was preloaded in that sense. He cannot divulge every single thing that's happening or every single thing that's in process. From some point or angle, he's saying he's giving enough of the honest truth so that the fans feel like they're being answered.
Yeah.
We've got answers to some of the questions that we've been scratching our heads about.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually love the fact that we actually finally had an interview with a Manchester owner. The
Which never
Glazers
happened for a long time.
have
lah.
never done anything like this before.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give it to him for accountability,
Mhm.
right? He knows that people are going to chop his head. He knows that people are going to
Yeah.
hate him
Yep.
for a lot of things.
Yep.
No, okay, so the thing is, you see, the Glazers have the excuse of say, I'm being located in the US, it's hard to do this kind of things. I mean, it's all excuses, but they have that excuse. Jim Ratcliffe does not have that excuse. He is a United fan, as he proclaims, and he's situated in the UK, right? So, to me, whether it was staged, I think yes, it was preloaded, yes. But the thing is, you have to look at, if you all watch the whole 45 minutes to 50 minutes of it, his answers were definitely genuine.
Yeah. He looked clueless at some points.
Maybe he's thinking of the right words to use, or separating what he can divulge and not. But I feel like it's not fluff. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
fluff.
not
He
fluff.
called it out. He called a spade lah.
Yeah, and I think what I liked about it was he admitted
Mhm.
when they knew they f***ed up Right? with the
Especially Ten Hag one lah.
not with Ten Hag.
Mm.
With Ten Hag was one of them.
Dan Ashworth.
Dan Ashworth was the other one.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you got to give it to him that when he knows he made a mistake, they call it what it is, and they recognize that a mistake is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You got to live with the mistake. But some of the things that he answered, which I feel it kind of puts into question the entire management at Manchester United. Not him as an owner, but the management that is in place in his absence. You don't expect the owner itself to be running the club. Let's put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? the day-to-day running of the club and the business is always done by the management of the club.
Yeah.
And when he gave that answer of that why that 40,000 was not given to the ex-United players from the 70s and 80s, and honestly, Gary Neville's recommendation and solution, right, was damn bloody good,
right? Yeah.
And it's so simple, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that he could say nobody thinks about it, and Gary Neville calling it out himself also, and saying that if nobody is coming up to you and giving you ideas like this, it worries me.
Yeah. So exactly, that's the part I feel like, even if you say it's staged or it's preloaded, right? Gary Neville wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Gary Neville wouldn't have questioned that these sort of things.
Yeah, because I think the issue here is Gary Neville preloaded the question already. Why couldn't this be done? But he was taken aback by Ratcliffe's answer. He was stunned by Ratcliffe's answer.
Yep.
Because the answer was like, that's actually a good idea. Why didn't anybody say that? And you're a businessman, eh?
Yeah, because the management all breakan lah.
Yeah,
the
but
people that are there, they're supposed to do a job, not doing their job.
yeah, but damn, you're a freaking businessman in the UK. You're a billionaire.
Yeah, but
I'm sure these are things that you should know.
he's the owner. He doesn't run the
He doesn't see
management.
things on the ground level.
True, but again, you would have worked through the ranks to be able to get your net worth up to there.
True lah.
You would have known things of what to do in order to churn money.
Sure. So I think the responsibility of this falls on Omar Barada lah. He's
Now
the
lah.
CEO lah, right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to make all these decisions.
Correct.
And if there are suggestions and all that, it should be tabled and to the board of directors. And I mean, as part of it, Sir Jim Ratcliffe would have known, but no, right? So I'm looking at Omar Barada and saying that, what are you doing?
Not just him only lah.
The whole
whole management
gang
right?
lah. Yeah.
We have we spent millions of dollars to bring in an entire management team, and this is what you do, cut staff meals, cut jobs, cut this, cut that.
Okay.
And then here we are spending money on paying off Dan Ashworth again. You know?
Yeah. We are just paying a lot of money to correct our mistakes lah. But I think just now when you mentioned, like cutting all the staff and all that, right? When I was going through and watching the interview, I kind of understand why they had to do that, but it always leaves a sour taste in the mouth where you cut people that have been contributing to the club for the longest time ever, right? In any form of retrenchment or things, it's always the one that stays very long. And when they get cut, right, they say, wow, this is how you repay my loyalty, that kind of thing. But from a business perspective,
no, I totally get it. I mean, I work in the
yeah,
hospitality industry, and ever since COVID, manpower has been
you just got to cut the
decline.
the one that is easiest to cut, number one. Number two, you cut all the cost centers. Bo pian one.
No, but that's the issue, right? We are so in my line of work right now, the same thing we do is when we are hungry for revenue generation, and we cannot get the revenue generation,
We cut
you
cost
have
lor.
no choice.
Yep.
You cut costs. But are United really suffering on the revenue generation point?
If you're thinking from a business perspective, every cent
Counts.
counts. Yes. Every dollar saved.
No, but I would think that we are suffering from a revenue generation point is because we are not in Champions League.
Yeah.
We are losing out on revenue
The TV
based
deals are
on
right.
competition rights and TV rights and all these things.
Which
And
is a
it's-
lot.
Which
Which
is
is
a
a lot.
money,
Yeah.
Right? Every season is a lot of money. What?
Yeah.
Right. So
So you can't like, okay, I think the previous time we talked about all the players, all the United players that are not turning up week in, week out, right? And they say, cut them lah, Wanana cut lah, Casemiro cut lah, cut their contracts and then just pay them out, right? Okay, I said that because I was feeling very emotional. But you look at it from a point of view, you cannot lose money on them because they are the revenue generators. They sell shirts.
No, that's not the point. It's not whether they generate revenue or not. The thing is, if I were to terminate you or you,
straight off.
how much am I only going to pay you?
Mm.
If I terminate all 10 of them, 11 of them, how
GG.
much am I going to pay? We're not looking at millions already.
yeah, it's hundreds of millions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like it or not, they also Saktama, you know.
Yeah, but I think there's one thing that I did not like, but from a business point of view, you can understand lah. Where Sir Jim Ratcliffe said, when you look at the playable salaries, which means that when you look at actually the players who are playing, minus less those that have been injured and been sitting on the bench, our player salary cost is actually
Not
much
high.
lower than the comparison of against
City and Liverpool.
Right?
That's a very good
It was-
way to look at it.
No, I feel that is a delusional way of looking at it.
Why?
Because you are looking and you're looking at your numbers, massaging it to make yourself feel better.
But business is like that, what?
No, but you're massaging it to make it feel better.
Okay.
You're not really looking at the real issue. Is that a big chunk of your salary cost is sitting on the bench?
He knows and acknowledges that.
What he's trying to say is that our transfer policy is shit. Okay, we've been signing players who are always injured, sitting on the bench. Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, so on and so forth, right? So he's not trying to put this blame on the previous manager.
It's
but
not.
The
It's
whole
not.
transfer policy is screwed up. That is why a lot of money is being spent on players that are injured or sitting on the bench.
Yep. Okay, but it just felt like I want to see the numbers that I see to make myself feel happy lah, you know.
It's a way of justifying lah.
Yeah, it's
You can either say A or not B.
You may not be CDE.
Whatever lah. Yeah, you get my point, right? Yeah, but okay, goes back to the whole thing. I feel like I think it was a very appropriate time for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to do this interview,
Yes.
and with Gary Neville nonetheless. It is going to put a lot of people, especially the United loyal fans, right, into they know what is ahead. They know what is ahead, right?
I mean,
And-
that's all a lot of us have, when we watch and support the club, ever really wanted, right? It's the same way we follow a boss who gives us a direction. Without a direction, we're like lost sheep, right? And that's what we've been feeling for so many years.
The lost sheep is one thing. Is that people just guessing what can happen, what will happen. No
idea,
Now,
right?
now we know the new stadium is here, or rather in the plans. You know, things are going to change, hopefully for the better. And what needs to firstly change is the performance on the pitch, lah.
Of course. Okay, so let's end off with this question. Has your views on INEOS changed since the news broke of them becoming an owner and now? After having seen them in action for about 6 months, 7 months already? About there, right? So
The shots they've been calling, or he's been calling, is questionable. Which is why I felt that the purpose of this interview came at the right time. He clarified a number of questions that has been on everybody's mind. United fans around the world. Obviously we cannot do anything about it, but it gives some clarity, it gives some direction. Because of that, I feel it's justified. To me, I feel it's justified enough now. And I'm buying whatever he's saying for now, so far.
Joel?
I will be the CB lah, because that time, right, I was really rooting for Sheikh Jassim to take over everything and clear the whole debt lah.
Yeah.
Right, then we become another
But it doesn't solve any
Etihad
problem.
United.
You are just throwing money at anything and everything.
Yeah, lor. Yeah, that's what I want. Clear the debt first. Clear the debt first. You see, clear the debt already, you can win 4 in a row, no?
Apparently not.
You need the root to solve the root of
Yeah,
the
but
problem.
we will never know lah. We'll never know. So we just have to stick with INEOS, right?
Yeah. So for me, my views on it is, I think that when we first came in, there was a lot of hype about him coming in because local English fella,
United fan.
They just
Fine.
wanted to see the Glazers lose that.
Yeah, we just wanted to see Glazers lose control over the club, and we wanted some fresh perspective. I think that they are in a bit of a shock right now. because when they came in, I feel that they didn't realize how bad it was.
Yep.
And now it's a lot of cleanup.
Yeah.
I'm glad we are seeing it.
Mm.
We are understanding it a lot better because I think more importantly is at least we are hearing from him himself.
Mm.
And we can get some idea behind what is actually really going on.
Yeah, especially for us who are in Singapore, right? We
rely on the news and interviews and all this kind of stuff, right? So I think
what worked. That's what helped.
Yeah.
Everybody wants his head, but why? Because he comes out and says something, which is why everybody wants his head. He's the one. He's being the bad guy.
But I like it.
He makes the Glazers look like the good guys when in actual fact they're not
He's the
doing
Glazers.
anything.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I see the other way. Like, he come out and say something, right? It makes the Glazers look bad.
No, but the thing is because right now of his position, fans being fans who don't really look at it properly,
Glazers
will blame
don't-
him because he's the face of the club
Exactly.
right now.
The Glazers don't cut Ferguson's salary. They don't cut
Yeah.
all the ex-players' salary and this and that and parties and whatever stuff.
But
he's doing
No,
it.
but because they don't do that,
That's why we're in
that's
the
why we're
current-
in this
Yeah.
shit.
Exactly.
Right. So to me, what he's trying to come out and say, actually, there's something beneath the messages that he's sending.
So
out.
which is
okay.
I'm
why
here to clear all the nonsense.
which is why at the moment for me personally,
Mm.
I buy what he's saying because
Mm.
this is the angle I'm coming from.
Yeah. Same.
I still want Sheikh Jassim.
You go and email him lah. Okay. Have it on that note, while Joel emails Sheikh Jassim,
Okay.
drop us a like, subscribe to us, share, leave a comment down below. What do you think of this whole interview that Sir Jim Ratcliffe had done with Gary Neville? Is he full of it or is he being honest? See you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you. Bye.